Maganda gabi, maayang gabi, naimbaga gabi iyo. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Foundation of Philippine Progress End of the Year Report. Strength in the face of struggle. We will be your MCs tonight. I am Dr. Alma Wansisa Trinidad, President of the Foundation Board of Directors.
And I am Roger Rigor, Vice President of the Board.
Thank you all who are here tonight as we share with you yet again another year of fabulous programs and various projects as we collectively extend help for our people in the motherland of the Philippines. As most of you know, the foundation was made possible through the help and continuous support of our community. You all, sponsors, donors, and advocates in the spirit of Bahinihan, to provide and strength in the face of struggle, especially for our most simple folks back home in the motherland.
Yes, and it has been 5 years serving those who are most vulnerable in the Philippines, more so in times of crisis. Tonight, we have prepared a presentation where we yet again reflect upon various acts of kindness, of compassion, of courage, and dedication. The usual faces and familiar energy behind the collective of grassroots organizations, community leaders and volunteers who have been relentless, strength in the face of struggle. Before we begin, just a reminder for everyone of our Zoom etiquette. Kindly mute your mics, greatly appreciated, and write comments in the chat mode, and we will try to respond to any questions through email after the presentation. And please stay put until the end of the presentation, as we do have raffle prizes to give away from our foundation merchandise.
So I'd like to introduce our foundation treasurer, Emily Rice, who will now say a short prayer and an acknowledgement to the land of our First Nations. And to follow up right after her, our executive director, Rosella De Leon, will introduce our staff and our board of directors of our foundation, as well as provide an outline for tonight's program. Take it away, Emily.
Hello, all, and welcome. Today, we honor the Indigenous people on whose traditional land and ancestral homelands the Foundation of Philippine Progress headquarters resides. The Multnomah, Cathlamet, Clackamas, Tumwater, Watlala, bands of the Chinook, the Tualatin Kalapuya, and many other Indigenous nations of the Columbia River. It is important to acknowledge the ancestors of this place and to recognize that we are here in part because of the displacement and atrocities forced upon them. In acknowledging these communities, we honor their legacy, their lives, and their descendants. As stewards of this land from time immemorial, we demonstrate our appreciation for them by being in solidarity with them. We also honor the many Indigenous peoples of the Philippines who have stewarded our rich and diverse islands for thousands of years, from Igorot, Aita, Lumad, and many others. We recognize, that seeking a full life for every Filipino requires acknowledging their stewardship and rising in solidarity with the struggles of Indigenous peoples in the Philippines. And now please join me for a brief prayer. Creator, we are grateful for the life you have given us, for the gifts and blessings you place in our lives each and every day, for the land we care for that also cares for us, for the people, our families, our communities that care for us and for whom we care. We thank you for the hearts and voices and hands and feet which allow us to participate in the work of blessing and strengthening others in our own neighborhood and around the world, even in the midst of deep hardship and struggle. We thank you for this time to share together and to reflect and give thanks. In all this, we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. And now our executive director, Rosella De Leon.
Welcome to our annual community reports. Every year, we in the Foundation for Philippine Progress look forward to the opportunity to report on our victories and challenges in the spirit of accountability and transparency. For this hour that we have together, we aim to share results of the programs and projects that our community like you helped make happen. All of these are also made possible by our mighty team of staff and board of directors who are here with us today. So I would like to take a minute to acknowledge them. For our staff team, we have our project coordinators, Jeline Abenoha and I Kalalo. For marketing director, we have Ronald Antonio, and we have our very active uh, board member, our board vice chair, Roger Rigor. So thank you to our staff team who, continue to do this work day after day to be able to serve communities in the Philippines. And next, we also, would like to acknowledge our board of directors. We have with us today our board chairperson, Dr. Alma Trinidad. We also have with us our vice chairperson, Roger Rigor. We heard from our board treasurer, Emily Rice, and one who's not able to join with us today, but celebrates our work just the same as our board secretary, Annie Sebastian. Thank you all for your tireless work. We in the Foundation for Philippine Progress undergo a systematized vetting process with our partners in the Philippines to ensure that community support from here to states go toward our intended recipients in the Philippines, the most underserved and in need. We work with organizations who are tried and tested in delivering support to communities in precarious situations back home in the Philippines. So for today's program, we bring our guest speakers from our partner organizations in the Philippines so that we can hear from voices on the ground back home. We will also hear from a couple of community artists with cultural offerings for us and testimonials of their experiences taking part in the programs and projects of the Foundation for Philippine Progress. Finally, we will be presenting our 2022 year in review. We'll have a presentation and a video. Thank you all for supporting our work throughout the year and for giving us your hour today. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you, Roselle and Emily. So as Roselle said, we now have our marketing director, Ron Antonio, and project coordinator, Jeline Abinoha, present the 2022 year-end report. And right after, we will play a video compilation of the year 2022 created by project coordinator, I Kalano. Take it away.
Cool. Thanks, Kuya Roger. Before we start with the review, I just want to start off with a quote by our national hero, Dr. Jose Rizal. He says, Filipinos don't realize that victory is the child of struggle, that joy blossoms from suffering, and redemption is a product of sacrifice. The great Dr. Jose Rizal reminds us of a reality that is still persistent today in the Philippines, a reality that we are a product of, the reality that pushed us to America to look for new opportunities, a reality that still calls us back home. It's the heartbreaking realization that our country is rich and abundant in natural resources, while the vast majority of its citizens are still suffering from extreme poverty and lack of resources, which is why our country has often been described as a beggar sitting on a mountain of gold, our beloved motherland, the Philippines. Dr. Jose Rizal reminds us that we are the children of a generation of struggle, but that joy can still bloom amid all the suffering, and that what we sacrifice every day can lead us into redemption. Since the official launch of the Foundation of Filipino Progress in October of 2018, we have experienced 4 years and 3 months of struggling, suffering, and sacrifice. But with your help, we have also experienced moments of victory, joy, and redemption. In the past several years, our country has been struck by typhoons, devastating earthquakes, floods, and a volcanic eruption that unleashed just before the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic, affecting hundreds and thousands of Filipino families altogether. In response, your donations have inspired medical missions, typhoon relief efforts, and food assistance programs. So this year, just kind of want to highlight our partners in the Philippines. We work with the Leyte Center for Development, the LCDE, St. Scholastica's Mission Hospital, the Consortium for People's Development and Disaster Response, or the CPDDR, and then the Citizens Disaster Response Center, the CDRC. And lastly, the Council for Health and Development. So each month we've been able to contribute with everyone's efforts, supporting our programs, our fundraising. So in January, we were able to partner with the LCDE and the CDRC to help with typhoon relief from Typhoon Odette. Also help by fishing boats. In April, more support for the LCDE when Typhoon Agaton hit. In July, we partnered with Balsa Mindanao for food processing equipment. In the month of August, we partnered with CDRC, CPDDR for the Northern Luzon earthquake. In September, it was the CDRC, LCDE, and CPDDR when Typhoon Carding hit. We were also able to get a fishing boat for them. In October, we worked with the Kabataan Alliance to defend the Lumad struggles back home. And then in November, we partnered when Typhoon Paeng hit. So here are some images of the boats that we were able to fundraise for. So again, thank you for your kind donations. Again, just promoting like just across the country, like trying to reach out for people who want to contribute in their own way. Not only did we provide relief, but we also engage in like language programs. So Kuya Roger was able to basically start an online Tagalog class, which starts in May. And I think the first batch ended in July, I believe. There are also in-person versions of that language class held at the Bayanihan Center in Portland. In June, we actually started our Aklatan book club. Shout out to Ken and Vanessa and Christina. I see you there tuning in from Germany. So we these are 6 weeks sort of book club readings where at the last week we invite the authors to come out or the experts to talk about their book. Here's sort of what it looks like online. We read Carlos Bulasan's Americans in the Heart. There's no sound here, but here's the expert of Jose Rizal, a professor in the Philippines, just breaking it down for us. Everyone's so engaged in that conversation. And then I'll pass it off to Jeline to talk about like how we ended the year.
Okay. In September, we partnered with Lakad PDX, the Filipino Bayanihan Center, and the National Alliance for Filipino Concerns to co-host Lakad for Bayanihan, a 5K and 10K race with the Filipino Festival in the park that brought out about 500 plus attendees. We were able to raise over $50,000 for livelihood and health-related projects and initiatives in the Philippines that provide ever-needed relief and rehabilitation to vulnerable communities that are impacted by extreme poverty and natural disasters. We supported in the expansion of the Filipino Bayanihan Center's programs and services and helped launch the first Filipino community health clinic in Portland, Oregon. Next slide, please. In October, we took part in the Council of Filipino American Associations of Oregon and Southwest Washington's annual retreat, where our executive director was elected to the board. Next slide. Also in October, we expanded upon our annual signature series, Philippines is in the Heart, for Filipino American History Month. We continued our Tagalog language series with an in-person event at the Filipino Bayanihan Center. Next slide. We held a continuation of our original Filipino music workshop at Portland State University, where we dove into the cultural roots and growth of the Filipino-American identity through music and pop culture. Next slide. And we hosted the annual Filipino Eats Week events and pop-ups that were happening concurrently in Portland and Seattle, highlighting local Filipino chefs and up-and-coming food businesses with a theme celebrating dishes from the three main regions of the Philippines. The week began with a community event in Portland to fundraise for Lumad Youth and closed out with a mini food festival and celebration in Seattle. Next slide. And then in November, the Foundation for Philippine Progress joined as a member organization of the National Alliance for Filipino Concerns and spoke at the National Conference and General Assembly. And I'll pass it back off to Ron.
Cool, thanks, Shalene. On this slide, here are just some notable things for the year 2023 to look forward to. So in May of 2023, one of our board members is going to take on the Mount Everest Challenge and hike up to the base camp. In July, Kui Roger is challenging all of us to see who would be down to bike from Seattle to Portland, which is about 207 miles to fundraise for the donation. On July 1st, our language program starts. Wikang Kayumangi, so level 1 in July, and then level 2 on August 5th. On August 26th, we have the Lakad for Bayanihan 5K race again in Portland. In October 21st, we are actually going to be celebrating our 5th year anniversary gala in person in Portland, Oregon. And then on October 23rd through the 29th, we have Filipino Eats Week, both in Seattle and in Portland. And then lastly, I know this is a lot of text on the screen, but if you would like to volunteer or be help us with our projects and programs, not only do we have like Aklatan and the language programs, but there's ongoing disaster relief and humanitarian missions throughout the year, medical and surgical missions. We want to get the water project started this year to help provide clean water for the people. Philippine tours, so people who want to travel back, we want to get that project or that program started. And then our Philippines is in the Heart educational series, I think, which a lot of you have already been a part of. We also have What Drives You Towards Progress. It's a community donation drive. Another project that we want to get started to is Alay Pangarap, a mentoring program for the youth. So if you would like to volunteer to be a mentor, or have some nephews or nieces or cousins that want to participate in the program. And again, the language and cultural program that's continuing. I think that we're going to go on our 4th year now, Kui Roger. And then the Aklatan series, which this will be our 3rd year, reading more Jose Rizal, Carlos Bulasan, or any other, like suggestions that folks have. So shout out to the book club that's also online that has also been supporting us. And with that, let's go into the video that I put together for us.
The Philippine Archipelago, a stretch of more than 7,000 islands. A Pacific region of pristine blue waters and miles of coastal marine wealth. A tropical paradise of exotic vegetation and myriad animal species, endemic only of the islands. Inhabited with a population blessed with more than 150 languages, rich in cultural traditions and colorful heritage. But this beautiful narrative of this nation and its people is fading fast. Today's global crisis in environmental degradation is impacting the Philippines and many of its counterpart third world agricultural nations with socio-economic impunity. Farmers who till the land, fishermen who tend the oceans are suffering from the impact of a warming planet. Years of oppressive economic pressure upon its people from vast and rich resources mindlessly mined and exported, have left a multitude in convulsing poverty, scraping for pittance amid calamity after calamity. This disturbing turn of events in these once lush islands prompted the creation of a foundation that is devoted in providing the extra help and assistance to its farmers, fishermen, and simple folks. A full life for every Filipino. The driving statement of the Foundation for Philippine Progress. It is in this spirit that the foundation was created, to raise back the living conditions of our people, beset with survival needs in times of disaster, oppressive living conditions, or health challenges. It was created to inspire hope, unite, and rally those who can help from a conscious diaspora. One is reminded of the legend of Mariang Makiling, the guardian spirit of a proud landmark located in the provinces of Laguna and Batangas, Mount Makiling. Mariang Makiling is the protector of the bounty of the forest, providing life for the townsfolks. Today, the guardian is weak and in need of help, and the foundation heeds to her call. Join us in extending a full life for every Filipino, and feel the pride behind the unique Bayanihan spirit alive in the heart of every Filipino. Marami pong salamat.
Salamat. Thank you again, Ron, Julian, and I. And yes, let us be guardians of our motherland and to strengthen our motherland. At this time, for our cultural presentation tonight, we are grateful to have with us Seattle poet and playwright Bob Flor, who will share a couple of poems that befit the purpose behind all that we do as a community. Please welcome poet and playwright Bob Flor.
Thank you. Am my video on? Anyway, thank you for inviting me to read tonight. I was only going to read one poem. It's a new poem called "The Philippine Eagle," Haring Ibon, the Kingbird, and it's a prose poem I wrote recently as part of a YMCA poetry group, and I wanted to write this type of poem because there are a number of endangered species in the Philippines, and the Philippine eagle is the national bird, and that's one of them. But there are other species like the tamaraw or the crocodile or the forest turtle that are also endangered. So, but I tried to capture the Philippine eagle in particular. So here's the poem. They dominated island skies once. Distinct territories ruled fiercely. Datus of the air soared over jungles once. Feathered napes, crowned manes, affirmed elegance and power once. Loyal couples nested thrones till death once. Lions of the wind hunted from tree canopies, swooped from tops, glided motionlessly from perch to perch, descended branches for prey. Talons grasped lemurs, lizards, macaws, squirrels, snakes, rats, birds, fruit bats, and flying fox. Their jungle, a bountiful table once. 113 million humans encroach, 400,000 forest acres destroyed within a decade, habitat consumed, poachers threatened and plundered. Eagles retreat to Mindanao, Samar, Leyte, and Luzon, 4 of 7,000 islands, domains shrink, numbers dwindle and dwindle over time. A fragile canary in our mind. Why harm such a creature? Why eradicate their kingdom? Is their future feasible? So that's my poem. And salamat for listening. There's a Philippine foundation, Eagle Foundation, which I also contribute to annually to make sure they can reforest things and try to carry on their tradition of protecting this particular beautiful bird. And if you've ever seen one, which I haven't live, but on a lot of film and that kind of thing, they're just they're one of the largest eagles in the world, if not, they're real close to the harpy eagle in terms of size, and wingspan is bigger, that kind of thing. But I really think taking care of the environment is so important in the long term. Human beings tend to be short-term thinkers, I think, sometimes, and they don't think about what's going to happen 10 and 20 and 30 years down the line, or even further out. So anyway, that's it. Any questions? Or thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you for those inspiring words. Our first of two guest speakers this evening heads one of the most hardworking organizations in the Philippines, in times when most would rather just stay put at home. The Citizens Disaster Response Center, or CDRC, has time and again continued to marshal response efforts to the most impacted. To share more about their role in times of environmental crisis, the foundation is honored to introduce Dr. Suzanne Balingit, Executive Director of the Citizens Disaster Response Center in the Philippines. Dr. Balingit.
Okay, happy Lunar New Year to everyone. So I will not be repeating what has been said about the donation that came in last January, August, September, and November to fund the death earthquake, the Sun earthquake, Typhoon Cardin, as well as Typhoon Paeng. But I'd like to say that piggyback in all this disaster response that we do is doing disaster preparedness. So whenever we go to communities to do this relief operation, we would also do disaster preparedness. And we put health work in the forefront of disaster preparedness. That's coming from and acknowledging the fact that we've been saying from the start of the first video that the country is one of the most eco-diverse country in the world. But having said that, while we claim we're one of the most eco-diverse and we're beggars on top of a gold path, the reason being we allowed colonial masters to teach us what to eat. So what would they have taught us? They've taught us what they know, what they have, and what they can sell. So imagine, every time we see children walk 5 to 7 kilometers to get to school, or even swim to school, we would always call them kawawa. But how do we change our narratives from something that called them kawawa to something that acknowledges their strength, their health, and their passion for life? We would have realized that whatever made them strong, healthy, and passionate, it would not have come from where they're going. It would have come from where they came from. But would you know what they have, where they came from? So how do you intend to conserve and protect things you don't even know? And it's high time we realize that. Even the Department of Health, when they talk about children walking 5 to 7 kilometers to get to school, they will always be called kawawa. And kawawa they will forever be. But, you know, what was not realized is that before the body sends blood for that child to walk, it would have sent blood to the brain. So the body preferentially perfused the brain first. So can you imagine, after perfusing the brain, the body still has enough for 5 to 7 kilometers walk. So how can you call somebody who have more than enough to attend a class and perform school tasks malnourished? And then we will be started with being introduced to foreign goods like milk. Can you imagine? The country doesn't have a milk industry. Every drop of milk we have here in the country is imported from elsewhere. Every time they teach us to take cow's milk, they would always claim that cow's milk make children smart. But have we seen a smart cow even, agree to that? We have not seen a smart cow because God would not have placed something to make us smart on cow's milk that is supposedly to be consumed by baby cows. God would have placed this on our mother's milk. And what would he place on cow's milk? He would have placed what the baby cows need. And how much milk can a mama cow produce? Enough milk for 2 to 3 baby cows. If there's a freak accident that mama cow had 2 and 3 instead of just 1. But how can they export to here? They will force that poor mama cow to produce more. And baby cows grow faster than humans, get fatter than humans, and becomes adult or reproductive at age 3 to 5. So what do we have in the milk that is exported to here? A lot of growth hormones, a lot of fattener, a lot of sex hormones. Imagine, not only do we feed them to babies, we also feed them to adults, especially pregnant women. So what happened to the pregnancy? We used to see pregnant women here who are so able to deliver 7 to 27 children. I'm not saying we have that much. I'm just saying that we're so able to do that. We pound rice, we fetch water, and we even, starch our linen. Yet we're so able to do that. Now in the best medical center, handled by the best medical practitioner, we saw women dying of childbirth. How can that be? So we would like once more to reclaim what we have, start doing some, aside from preparing people to be healthy in the communities and really extending some information on what food package they should be serving, but also we do some rehab work focus on community managed wellness tourism. Wellness in terms of cultural wellness. So we would have children do peer-to-peer coaching for the affluent kids who would go to the communities for local games, local fruits, local vegetables. And then moms will be doing some healing session because this is something we so have that the medical community so failed to acknowledge. We have healers in the country we have not maximized. And so we also have local moms who can do some cooking for those who would come to explore. So that I hope we will be able to set up a community-based wellness tourism, a community managed wellness tourism, so that when you guys come, we can sample you the healing energy of our local folks, as well as once more introduce your palate to the local cuisine. And that way we'll be able to recover our pot of gold. The only way to win really is to be able to utilize the bounties we have. Unless and until we know how to use them, we cannot win this war. And on that note, maraming salamat po sa pagkakataong binigay niyo sa akin. Salamat. Thank you so much.
Salamat, Dr. Balingit. Thank you for reminding us of the natural resources, the beauty and the wisdom of the motherland, and to reclaim them. So, salamat. So 2 students of our Foundations Tagalog program gives us insights about their learning journey. A published children's book author and mother, Jasmine Ariano Montrell, and filmmaker who is now in the Philippines, Alexandra Zana Arshworth, will share their thoughts. So for the first video, please turn up your volume as their audio is a bit weak. So take it away.
Hi, my name is Jasmine, and growing up outside of Canada, I've always felt a bit insecure about my knowledge and grasp of Filipino culture, the languages, Tagalog in particular, and especially the history. And now that I have kids, especially with a partner who isn't Filipino, I worry a lot about how I'm going to pass this knowledge on to them. And this is why I started to seek out some resources to help and connected with the Foundation for Philippine Progress. And I've gained so much more than I could imagine. I mean, through their Tagalog lessons, I've really been able to strengthen my foundational understanding of the language, much more than I've been able to just listening to my parents speak it at home and try to practice with them. And Kuya Roger has been so amazing. He has this casual but structured and most importantly non-judgmental approach to teaching us. I've really been able to increase my confidence in my Tagalog, and I've even been able to teach my kids some, words and expressions that they integrate into their day-to-day routines, which has been really nice. And I think one thing that I really didn't expect was this sense of community that I'd feel, learning with other people who also grew up outside of the Philippines, who live outside of the Philippines, and who are also looking to strengthen their connection with their roots, which has been really nice. And in the future, I'm really hoping to attend their virtual workshops on Philippine history. I hate to admit that I don't know enough and I don't know too much, so I'm really hoping to learn. And it's been really hard to find resources that teach Philippine history with a anti-colonial perspective and a critical lens, which I'm now recognizing how important and crucial it is. There are a lot of resources out there that provide a more problematic retelling of our history. So it's great to have found the Foundation for Philippine Progress. And of course, my parents and extended family, it's such a privilege to, I know, have them as a resource, and they're really a lifeline to Philippine culture. But now that I found the Foundation, I know it's not my only resource out there, and I feel more confident about that. And lastly, the Foundation for Philippine Progress is an organization that I can trust with my donations as well. They're really committed to making a difference and really trying to make a tangible difference in the lives of our kababayan in the Philippines. And with every, typhoon and natural disaster, I always feel a bit helpless, being so far away and only being able to help through donations. And so having them as a resource that I know that I can trust, and that they're committed to the work there, and the fact that they're so committed to Filipinos who live outside of the Philippines, help them strengthen their community, not only to the Philippines and also the people there. They do have my full support, and I encourage my family and friends to do the same.
Hi everyone, magandang umaga, gabi, araw sa lahat. I'm not sure what time it is there when you all are going to be watching this. Ako si Zana Ashworth. Ako ay filmmaker at Fulbright National Geographic Storytelling Fellow, and I'm currently dito na ako sa Tuguegarao, Cagayan, which is in northern Luzon, Philippines. And I've been taking some courses with Kuya Roger for several months, on and off, given my schedule. I'm basically working on a collection of films about identity here, and that's because I'm adopted, and grew up in Portland, Oregon, but I'm actually originally from just outside of Tigagarao in Cabagan, which is just south, in an area where they actually speak primarily Ibanag. There is some Tagalog spoken here, although it's mainly Ibanag, Ilocano, Taoist, and then several other languages. So I wanted to take the classes just in order to be able to get some sense of the language, and I also travel back and forth to Manila as needed for research and other things like my visa. So it's been really helpful. It was also just really nice to sort of have a connection back home with Filipino American community as well, and recognize sort of the myriad of differences between Filipino communities in diaspora, in the Philippines, and then within each ethno-linguistic group. So it was nice to have some folks to talk to about that, and I really appreciate Kuya Roger and others who've engaged in that conversation with me, even in passing, just in the courses, and the kind of excitement that everybody has brought to it. And I really appreciate the opportunity from the foundation, and just wanted to share with you some of the views and sounds from up here. We're actually hearing, it's about 4 o'clock in the afternoon here, so we're hearing the church bells ringing. There's also Rizal's Park, which is the sort of center of town. There's a lot of gatherings there, including film screenings, which I've had the opportunity to attend, which have been really lovely, and the Sierra Madres, which I haven't had a chance to hike in yet, but I am hoping to get to explore a little bit sometime soon. For those of you who aren't familiar, if you are ever sort of looking at the news around the Philippines during typhoon season, there's often commentary about the importance of the Sierra Madres in survival during that time period, since they help break the typhoons. And they're also just incredibly beautiful to look at from here. So yeah, thank you all so much. Maraming salamat. And have a wonderful, wonderful new year. And hopefully I'll see you in classes soon, and potentially when I'm back in Oregon as well. Thank you all so much, and enjoy the rest of your event.
Salamat to Jasmine and Alexandra. It's so beautiful to hear them reclaiming their mother tongue, and also
Hi,
it
everyone.
also brings strength to the motherland. So our second guest speaker for the evening has been a long-standing partner of the foundation and continues to be at the forefront in relief efforts for the most impacted in environmental crises, especially in the typhoon belt of Eastern Visayas and Bicol region. Our courageous, beautiful friend in the trenches, Manette Agasanda, Executive Director of the Leyte Center for Development in the Philippines. Ate, all yours.
Yes, hello everyone, partners from the Foundation for Philippine Progress. Yes, could you please show my first slide, Sel? Yes, so we entitled this presentation First on the Ground, because in many instances, the Foundation for Philippine Progress really helped us to be always first on the ground. Next slide, please. Yeah, so during Typhoon Odette, which hit us hard last December 2021, millions of poor families were affected from Visayas, from our province in Leyte, and in southern Leyte, which was the hardest hit by Typhoon Odette. We were the first who gave a motorboat with complete fishing gear to poor fisher folk in southern Leyte province. Around 30,000 poor fisher folk were affected by Typhoon Odette, since many were derive their income from fishing. And so you could imagine the impact on a population already very poor before Super Typhoon Odette hit them. And we were able to distribute or give them the motorboat in February, but because of logistical challenges, it kept raining, and it's not that easy to make the body of the motorboat when it rains often. We were finally able to have the turnover first week of April, but in the first week of April last year, 2022. But even then, we were still first on the ground. And even until now, we're still first on the ground because no government or private NGO has ever given the survivors of Typhoon Odette livelihood, like this motorboat. So even I'm still in the middle of my presentation. Thank you, Foundation for Philippine Progress. You made us first on the ground, and we shared the videos of the fisher folk saying thank you, because this is the first time that an organization has ever given them a motorboat complete with fishing gear. Yes, next slide, please. And then also, through Foundation for Philippine Progress, we were also first on the ground to give a motorboat when Typhoon Agaton hit us hard in April 2022. So this motorboat was given to survivors in Abuyog town in Leyte. There are at least 27 members of the fisher folk of People's Organization beneficiaries. We were also able to distribute rice and canned food to the survivors. By the way, I forgot to mention, the first motorboat on the slide was given to fisher folk survivors in St. Bernard town in southern Leyte, hard hit by Odette. So here in this slide, a whole barangay was covered by the mudslide in April last year, 2022. So we had to pass that barangay. So we often made the vehicle run faster because we might get caught by the landslide to reach this barangay. It's called Barangay Buaya. Very poor barangay. 80% are fisher folk. But we were able to give the poorest and the most organized in the barrio the motorboat. Of course, they're so thankful. And aside from that, for Typhoon Agaton, we were also able to give rice and canned food to the survivors in some 3 communities. Next slide, please. Yes, and then last year in June, we launched the first phase of our humanitarian mission in Hipapad, Eastern Samar. We gave the peasant beneficiaries pigs for production and vegetable seeds. By the way, we also launched food distribution just a few days ago, last Wednesday, and we were happy to know that the pigs that we gave through you, the Foundation for Philippine Progress, survived the floods. The beneficiaries secured the pigs after themselves. The pigs, so we were so happy that the 11 pigs we gave, only 1 drowned. The 10 survived, no, because the people really valued the livelihood, no, that the pigs would give them, and it's a collective effort. It's a cooperative effort, no, because aside from just giving this dole out, we also encourage and capacitate the people to organize themselves, to form cooperatives for sustainability. So during this mission last June, last year, so this is what we gave. There were also vegetable seeds, and aside from, it was difficult getting the pigs. You know, the context was the Department of Agriculture started confiscating all the pigs because of the swine disease in the first 3 months. So it was so difficult logistically to find pigs for sale and distribute them. So we had to go far. Anyway, yes. So next slide, please. Yeah, so this is just happened last January 17 and 18. We did rice distribution again, FPP through us. We're first on the ground to distribute rice to flood survivors. I don't know if you monitor the news, but there was continuous floods in our region in Samar and Leyte since December 23 throughout January. The mayors and the community people told us that this was the worst floods, and that there was not even a typhoon. It was just continuous rains, which triggered floods and landslides. So in many areas in Samar, and especially Eastern Samar, which the government declared a state of calamity, many rice fields were damaged. And the mayors tell us that they haven't experienced these worst floods in the past decade or even more. They would have floods, but only for 3 to 4 hours, and the waters would recede. But now they experience 11 days continuous flooding. So 10 feet to 12 feet high. The rice fields and vegetable fields were totally submerged. So the farmers just planted their rice last November, and they expect to harvest April. The local officials, government officials tell us they expect extreme hunger in March and April because the farmers won't be able to harvest anything because of the floods. So you see, even without a typhoon, the damage to agriculture and livelihood is really grave. And so they're so thankful, of course, because we were first on the ground to give rice to some 513 families from interior barangays in this town of Hipapad, Eastern Samar. The mayors give their thanks also to you, and the barangay officials, to you in FPP. Next slide, please. Oh, yeah. So before that thank you slide, I would just like to say, in behalf of LCDE and the people of Eastern Visayas, we would like to thank our partners, especially in FPP, for always being there for us, for raising funds, giving donations. This is so important because many times, as you can see in the slide, we were always first on the ground. And excuse me. And Hipapad is an interior town. It's right in the middle of northern, eastern, and western Samar. It's high conflict. The NGOs are too scared to go there, other NGOs, because it's high conflict, it's difficult to reach. But because of our commitment to serve the poorest of the poor, we really try to go there. And aside from that, the people tell us that there's intense military operations. So even without the floods, they cannot even farm for fear of getting picked up. And they cannot even catch freshwater crabs for food, or for fear of getting picked up also at night, because they usually get freshwater crabs at night. So this is what we were able to gather from the ground. It's really a difficult situation, and all the more we see the need of forging ties for international solidarity at this point, at this difficult time for our people. I'm sorry. Because when you're on the ground and you see the actual situation and you see the people, they tell you what the situation is, and you see the AFP, the PNP all around guarding you, you see how difficult it is to earn a living, in these interior barangays, and notwithstanding the flood. So thank you very much, and we hope for forging better partnership, and we want to invite you if to come to our region. We will host you. We will host you. We will help you see the situation in the poor communities. So salamat. Thank you very much for all the support, and looking forward to stronger partnership. Salamat.
Foundation for Philippine Progress. Salamat na po.
Thank you, Minute, yet again for that very courageous effort that you guys are doing. We cannot thank you enough. And so with that, ladies and gentlemen, we go into another poetry reading from a well-respected actress, a doting mother, an accomplished artist, a producer, a dedicated farmer herself, and a friend of the foundation. Welcome, Lorna Velasco.
Alingaw-ngaw ni E. San Juan Jr. Payapang lugar, walang tili, bulahaw, hiyaw, kulog, dagundong, walang imik, tahimik, walang tinig, taghoy, halinghing, sigaw, saklolo, tahol, tugtog, palakpak, iyak, walang bigkas, atungal, palahaw, taguingoy, usap, ngalngal, tagulaylay, walang ingay, ungol, higinhing, himutok, irit, hibik, hagulhol, angil, payapa, walang ingay, walang hikbi, daldal, haloyhoy, lagaslas, alingaw-ngaw, saklolo, walang huni, sipol, pagaspas, lawiswis, halakhak, agas-as, walang siyap, sutsut, bulong, alatiit, kuliling, kaluskos, paswit, tahimik, walang imik, walang kibo, talagang naumid. Piping lahat, ngunit bakit may kumakatok? Humihingi ng saklolo, ugong sa sulok, dumudulas, anasan, tumatahip, pumupulas, bumubulong, bulong. Buntong hininga sa butas ng bungo. Psst! Walang imik, tahimik.
Thank you, Lorna. And to all our cultural artists who continue to provide inspiration and meaningful expressions of hope and vigilance, maraming salamat. First on the ground, thank you to all our folks who are out there on the trenches. And now we come to the point where we actually have some raffle prizes. Kalalo will also share the merchandise that the foundation has. Buy any of these and help spread the foundation's work. So
Great, thank you, Kuya Roger. As I call out the winners, please send me a direct message in this chat with your name and address so we can send you your prize. And if you live in Portland, you're more than welcome to pick up your gift at the Filipino Bayanihan Center on 1537 Southeast Morrison Street. So the first raffle prize will be, let me get my video going here. Can you see this? It's the America is in the Heart book by Carlos Balusan. All right, and then I'm gonna get my trusty fishing hat and pick out a name. I have Estereo Palima. Can you see that? Estereo, are you still on? Yes. Can you give me or send me a direct message with your address, or if you're gonna go pick it up in Portland if you live in Portland?
Well, I'd like to pick it up, but I'm living several thousand miles from your place.
Oh, are you in the Philippines?
No, I'm in Sweden.
Oh, okay. I'm sure we can arrange. Thank you for joining us all the way from Sweden.
Thank you for
Okay.
a very impressive and heartwarming presentation.
Thank you, po. All right, we have our second raffle prize, which is this nifty design of our new shirt, A Full Life for Every Filipino. It's actually going to be a crew neck. So send me a chat with your size and we'll send it over to you. Once again, my fishing hat. All right, I have Vanessa and Ken. So what we're gonna do is give you two. So you'll get a crew neck one each. And that's it for our prizes. Just so you know, you can also go to our website to pre-order a t-shirt or a crew neck for yourself, your family, your friends, or your BFF. And then proceeds support our projects and programs throughout the years ahead of us. Thank you, Kuya.
Thank you, I. You are like Wheel of Fortune. Okay, one major feat last year was the Lakad fundraising project that saw more than 500 attendees gathering in Portland and raised a substantial amount for the foundation in the local Bayanihan Center. We aim to get that going again this year as we try to better it with greater participation. The event is slated again on August 26th. And then 2023 will be highlighted with the foundation's 5th year gala fundraising event on October 21st. Please note that date down. Also in Portland, if you can make it there, that would be great. This is where we would like to seek your full support for sponsorship. Help us spread the word and the effort and the need to raise more funds. No amount is ever small. This year, early this year, so we are seeking out volunteers, extra hands to help us through these two major events, along with many other fundraising projects. So sign up to volunteer through our website, philippineprogress.org, to see what events are lined up in the year and actively engage yourself in our efforts to send the funds to our folks back home. A full life for every Filipino.
And you may also donate any amount, $25, $50, $100, or $250 or more, one time or a recurring donor. I've provided the website in our chat. You may also submit this as tax deductible here in the United States. So please donate. And as you have seen, your donation can strengthen our signature programs that focus on three of our pillars: health, education, and human rights in the motherland of the Philippines. And overall, our programs can provide that venue for us living in a diaspora to strengthen our love and our heart to the motherland of the Philippines. Salamat po, everyone, and good night. We hope to see you at our upcoming events, online or in person. For now, take care of yourself and others.
So yes, on behalf of the staff and the board of directors of the Foundation for Philippine Progress, thank you for the rondalia music that you hear there from Merna Cruz Louie with ACPA and Kulintang Arts in San Francisco. Maraming salamat. And to everyone and to our guests, until the next time, marami pong salamat.